I was inspired to make this video after visiting the Natural History Museum in the UK. This is one of my favourite places, and I was lucky enough to be able to go and see the Wildlife Photographer of the Year exhibition. I was captivated by many of the photographs there, but this was one of my favourites. A grey whale seeking the attention of a whale watcher and wanting to be petted. The picture was taken in Baja California in a lagoon called San Ignacio, which has become a bit of a mecca for whale watchers. Here, local fishermen between the months of January to April make a living from taking tourists to see the whales. The remainder of the year the fishermen catch fish, but as fish stocks are declining, the whale watching industry has become of great economic importance to them. These whales are here to give birth and mate in the warm shallow waters, having migrated from their feeding grounds in the Arctic. In the Arctic they eat by filtering their food through baleen plates. They have an interesting feeding technique where they roll onto their sides and suck the sediment from the bottom, taking in the marine invertebrates that live there. Their annual migration, which is one of the longest known, at 20,000 kilometres, takes them past the coast of California in December and January during their southern migration, and again in March, April and May on their return journey to the Arctic. They migrate close to the shore, which makes them easy to see, and many years ago I had the amazing fortune to see some of them off the coast of Monterey. Migrating close to shore make them easy targets for hunting, and these majestic creatures were hunted to near extinction in the mid-1800s. It then became unprofitable to hunt them, and left alone their numbers recovered. In the early 1900s, modern whaling methods had made hunting viable again, and numbers dropped as low as 2,000, until in the 1930s the IWC started to protect grey whales. Mexico also turned some of Baja California's major breeding and nursing lagoons, such as Scammons Lagoon, San Ignacio Lagoon and Magdalena Bay, into protected refuge zones. Access to these areas are strictly monitored so that human activity does not adversely affect the whales. This has enabled the numbers of grey whales to flourish to such an extent that in 1994 they were removed from the IUCN Red List of Threatened Species. The hunting of grey whales also occurred in their breeding grounds. The whales were known as the devilfish, as they would surface under the small boats used to throw handheld harpoons, breaking the boats, often injuring the fishermen and even sometimes killing them. That situation has now completely reversed. The whales are renowned for their friendliness, often coming over to the whale watching boats, wanting to be touched and kissed, even pushing their calves above the water for the whale watchers to tickle. Interestingly, they have not been witnessed displaying this behaviour once they are migrating back to their feeding grounds. Whilst it is good news for the Pacific eastern grey whale, reaching numbers of 26,000, nearly what they were pre-whaling, the Pacific western grey whale has only approximately 200 individuals. Another group of whales used to live in the North Atlantic Ocean, but became extinct in the 17th century. The western Pacific grey whale was also thought to be extinct, but a small population of around 200 were found in the 1990s off Sakhalin Island in Russia. There are concerns about offshore oil and gas development in the area around Sakhalin Island, and also other threats such as the entanglement in nets and ship strikes. In 2006, the IUCN set up the Western Grey Advisory Panel, which works with Sakhalin Energy, providing scientific advice on the company's operational plans and mitigation measures. We can only hope that given time and protection, the numbers of the West Pacific grey whales will also increase. It has not been plain sailing for the Eastern Pacific grey whales, as between 1999 and 2000 they underwent an unusual mortality event. Over the 2-year period, population went down by a third to just 17,000 whales. It was thought that this was due to there being too many whales for the ecosystem to support. However, numbers again recovered to their present population of 26,000. Sadly, in 2018 and 2019, there were various accounts of Eastern Pacific grey whales stranding along their migration route back from Mexico. Many of them were malnourished, and it has been reported that in Laguna San Ignacio, the whales were 2 weeks late arriving, and 50% of the whales were observed to be underweight. Usually only 10 to 12% appear underweight. A survey of the whales in March 2019 revealed only 21 mother-calf pairs, compared to a 5-year average that had been 3 times that number. It's a bit too early in the season to see if there is going to be another unusual mortality event, and there is, as yet, no data available on the condition of the whales arriving at Laguna San Ignacio. Scientists fear that it may be an indication that not all is well in their feeding grounds in the Arctic. The changing ice conditions in the Arctic bring many unknown consequences to the food webs, and the health of animals such as the grey whale is a good indicator for the health of the whole ecosystem. If any new information comes to light later in the year, I will give you an update on how these majestic creatures are faring. Meanwhile, over the long dreary winter in the UK, I will dream of the warmth of Mexico and tickling a grey whale calf.